I believe.
Michalina, thank you so much for joining the podcast. I want to get
Oh,
into this.
stop it, Sam.
What?
Thank you.
No, no, no. Let's get into it. But before,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about my show. I don't know if they gave you notes, whatever. We start
No.
every podcast by doing what is called the over the top intro because we are super grateful for anybody who wants to pal it up with us, talk about their projects, or just spend some time with us. So if you don't mind, give me 1 second. I just got to get this up out of my system. You ready?
It's all right. Whatever you need.
My next guest is an award-winning actress, producer, director. Michalina is the owner and operator of independent production company, Independent Artists Collaborative, LLC, and is on the board of directors for the Saratoga Springs International Film Festival. She's a proud member of the Producers Guild of America, and stepping back from in front of the camera, she is here to talk about her latest project, the film Girl in the Palms, streaming on your favorite streaming service right now. Michalina Scorzelli, welcome to the podcast.
Wow, Sam. Thank you. That's great.
Well, let's jump
I
into it.
appreciate that.
Of course. I know we don't have a ton of time, but I want to jump into this project and expand from this because not only are you the executive producer of this project, but
Yes,
you
sir.
are also, you play the character Jerry. What
Yeah.
about that in front and behind the camera that made you interested in Girl in the Palms?
Well, that's a great question. I like to, Sam, if I'm in something, if at all possible, because I am a member of the Producers Guild also, if at all possible, I also like to produce because I like to get, I don't know if I can say like to get crap done and I work really hard. So I think it helps as a female filmmaker to be able to behind the camera and in front of the camera. I just gives me comfort in knowing how things are run. There's certain things on a set that I'm going to say demand. I hate to use that word, but I want everybody to be treated fairly, kindly. I don't want anybody like not treating the PA the same as they treat me or the star. I demand that. And that starts at the top. So if I can at all produce as well as be in it, it gives me a little bit more saying how everything's run on set and that it's a good work environment for everybody.
Okay, well, that's behind the camera, but in front of the character, you play, excuse me, in front of the camera, you play Jerry. What
Yes.
drew you to a character like Jerry?
Ooh, I love Jerry because she's messy. and, and to me, like real life is messy. Even people that look like they have a perfect life, I'm sorry, behind the curtain, there's always some mess somewhere. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So she's messy. That's what drew me to her. And but with a big heart and always good intentions, even though from the outside world, it may not look like it because of what we expect from people and the box we put everybody in. She may not look like she's a kind-hearted, great person, but she is. So I love her.
Now, here's the thing about Jerry that I loved about that character, where her arc goes full circle because you
Yes.
nailed it. She is messy. That is a good way of putting it that way. But it's also, she is, I guess, by day, a super serious businesswoman.
Yes.
And when Jerry blows off steam, oh boy, she blows off some steam. But it almost the reason you find out, and I have to do this without spoiling the movie. So
Yeah.
I got to word this question right. The full circle part is when she blows off steam, you see she's escaping from some super serious problems.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that you picked that up because that is another thing about Jerry is like she's not in the entire film from beginning to end, but she does have a full arc and a full story. And my favorite line in the film is from Jerry when she says to the Lupe, when she says to the other character, she says, "None of us have it figured out." And isn't that the truth? We're all doing the best we can.
Right. But how do I say it? It's like this because this is what this whole movie is about. It's about finding yourself.
Yep.
So when you approach a person like Jerry, who on the surface has it all together. Meanwhile, you're looking at Luna, who essentially just left everything she ever had to quote find herself.
Yeah.
So it's like for lack of a better term, false idol. Um,
Yeah.
because God, it is very hard to ask this question without spoiling the movie. But what I'm getting at is Luna looks at Jerry in a way when you first hear it's like, oh, this is just how life's supposed to be. Meanwhile,
Yes.
Jerry is almost doing everything in her power to say, no, it isn't.
Yeah.
I I guess the question I'm getting at here is, did you have that because you've been in this business a little bit longer than some of your co-stars?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want to date you, but did you have those off the screen moments like you had on the screen where you're just like, hey man, maybe you want to look at this or coach them in different ways?
Um, I think, oh, that's a great question. That's a really great question. So, as the character or behind, like behind the camera, you're talking about,
Yeah.
did I want to coach them behind the camera?
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm very careful about that because I wear so many hats and I've also directed. I'm very careful as a producer of what advice I give on set. I always want to stay in my lane. If I'm producing, I want to stay in my lane and not step on any toes. But as a human, I'm always giving advice. May not have to be like, anything specific to that, but I'm just really a cheesy cheerleader of like, be kind to yourself and give yourself a little grace. I'm always telling people that. So as a human, I can't help myself. As a creative on set, I stay in my lane.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that a little bit because a lot of your projects, and I don't know if you're doing this intentionally or not, but you have a way of introducing this meta infotainment thing in your projects. Like
Yes.
your like your project, A New Weapon. That was about bullying.
Yeah. Yep.
And this film is about self-discovery. What is it about the meta aspects of, I guess, the human condition, masked by the entertainment side of it?
Yeah. Wow. Man, you're coming up with some good questions. You're making me
I,
think.
I pay attention. I pay attention.
You're challenging me. Well, I think that's what's current, right? Like the combination of both. And I appreciate you doing your homework because the new weapon I wrote, directed, and produced, and that one came by watching the news. And every morning I'm watching the news, and another kid like 9 years old or 10 years old killing themselves. And I was like, damn, I'm like, technology is the new weapon now, right?
Right.
So I felt that was really important to talk about. That's been used in schools and programs where kids have gotten in trouble with the police, but they're not old enough to get in trouble, so they make them go through a program. They've used that to help them have a different perspective on things. Um, it's interesting because all of the what do we call keyboard warriors, right? Like that do the bullying. When I met with a lot of them because of these programs, the reason that they did it was to be cool to their friends. Like nobody ever really thought that they were going to cause somebody to kill themselves. So at that time when I did that, it was just very relevant. And now I think the human condition is always like, man, nobody's perfect. I know I'm not perfect. I mean, I've lived a very colorful life. So the human condition is always of interest to me. And it's interest to show it in a way of not judgment,
Right.
if so to speak, try to do it without judgment and just encourage people, like I said earlier, to have grace with themselves because it's tough and it's even tougher. So the meta and the art, I mean, geez, if you're an artist and you can do something that's relevant and will include and meta's so like everything. I mean, as an artist, you want to do something that changes people's perspective. I mean, for me, I can't speak for all artists, for me. So anything that has that kind of vibe to it, I'm really interested in. I can't help it.
Okay.
It's real life. The Messi's the real life.
It is. And that's what made it so interesting where and I'm going behind the scenes in Girl in the Palms, but there is a connection between the two projects because the whole point of self-discovery is probably getting away from all the fake stuff the keyboard warriors then put up, as you put,
Yep.
because everyone's perfect on social media. If I had a
Yes.
chance to edit my life that
Right.
only you saw the good things
Yes.
and I never have to deal with the bad things, I on social media I look awesome.
That's right. Everybody does.
So yeah, that's where a movie like Girl in the Palms, the level of self-discovery shows up because it almost seems like, and watch this tie-in, watch this. It almost seems like Luna got a chance to see different forms of that based on
Yeah.
whoever she met in her journey to ultimately find, and I hate to say it this way, the biggest bully of them all
Yeah.
towards the end. So,
Yep. Yep.
was that part of it, or was that just kind of a happy accident?
No, there were no happy accidents. I mean, as you know, like each character was very different that she met. Very, very different. So she learned something from each of them. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but her hair changed the whole time, right? At the end, she's got her natural hair.
Hmm.
So like there's no happy accidents. Sometimes there's happy accidents, but there's no accidents in what we wanted the audience to see.
That was actually my next question, where it was just like, did that reflect whenever her hair color changed, she would meet a new person
Yep.
and she would do something different. It is hard to talk about this movie without
I think you're doing a great job, Sam.
it's really, speaking of challenging moments, what was one of the most challenging moments of filming this project?
Um, well, and I always keep it real. I would tell you if there was like some crap going on, but I can tell you, what we shot this in like 13 days, probably 20 locations. We had two cars, we had equipment in one, and everybody you see on camera was also behind the camera. That the first character you meet, she was our second camera, right? Like the Charlie, the vagabond, he was our gaffer. Like we all did all the jobs and we all fit in two cars. So we took so maybe that would be considered a challenge that we did it so tight, but I think for this material it helped the material, right? Like we all took this road trip together and it
Right.
was a really cool road trip making the road trip movie. And we slept together, we did Airbnbs, we ate together, we drove together. Like it was tight. And everybody very, very different walks of life. In no other, like if you went to a cocktail party, so to speak, we
Right.
wouldn't all be there, you know?
Okay.
But I felt shooting this film because of all these people that I met, this great cast and crew that worked so hard, I really left feeling this. And today it's my favorite shoot. I work a lot. That's still my favorite shoot. And I really honestly and sincerely feel I'm a better person for meeting the people in that film. That's it. That is a truth. I am a better person from meeting all of those individuals. So I had equally as great of road trip as Luna.
Oh man, that sounds awesome. And we're at my last question here, so I gotta
Okay.
ask. It's almost obligatory I have to ask this. What's next on the horizon for Michalina?
Woo, Sam. Sam, I have 7 films in post-production right now.
All right.
So I don't want to bore you with them all, but I've got four or five features coming out. I just did a short. I got a TV pilot. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, my life is on Instagram.
Hey, that seems awesome. We'll make sure we put that in a post as we go along. But Michalina, this has been a joy. This has been just a great time for us to just chop it up or say. I know we don't have a long time, but I just
Yeah,
want
but
to Speak with
Sam,
you. This was a great
how
project.
do I follow you, Sam?
Oh, as always, all of our stuff is there. Just talk with Sam No G and talking on Instagram. Much like you, a lot of my stuff is Instagram. And I'll make sure I post all of this stuff, give you a quick tag in it
Oh,
because
that's so sweet.
I want people to see this project, follow the other 7 that you have just kind of lined up.
Thanks, Sam.
And you're welcome back to come over here if you want. We could chop it
Oh
up and
man, I'd
talk
love
about
it
those projects.
anytime. You've been great. And I appreciate you.
Oh, well, Michalina, this has been awesome. Just the time just flew past.
It
And
went by so fast,
I
Sam. We're
know
done?
we're done. And I wish
Oh
you just the
man.
best. And congratulations on everything. And like I said, you're
Thank
welcome
you.
back anytime you want to come back.
Thank you. God bless, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.